I bid you all good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins. Thanks for joining me, guys. Guys, I got a really good housing is dissolving article for you guys. Don't forget, guys, to set your reminders for upcoming live shows where we chat and article scan, please. Here it is, guys. Trends in the housing market. Mike of the Night in touch with the ground coming this next Saturday. This Wednesday, Trends in the housing market will be on location on Spooner Street, where the Family Guy is. Hope Peter doesn't mind me using his living room to make this episode, but it's going to be very important. Lots of information, lots of callers. Set your reminders for upcoming show. We got a very special guest coming on, looks like it's June 20. Mike in the Night Show, it's called Aurora Borealis Comes in View. You want to watch that one because we got someone very special coming on the show. Okay, here it goes, man. Are you ready for this? All you housing sideliners out there that have been waiting, housing migrants that have been bought out of the market. We all have been bought out of the market. Either we get up and move to another town, like I had to properly raise a family, or have to go juggling between rents and trying to get, just trying to get things straight. Residential rentals facing pandemic pressure amid absence of tourists and students. Ding, 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 ding. And we've been talking about this for years on this channel. Why? Because Canada's been binging on foreign money. Canada sold out to the highest bidder. Canada has more money laundered through it than actual money that it's producing. Canada has pushed out its actual growing real economy and pushed it out and created a fake bubble economy. And what economy am I talking about? The housing market. Canada's GDP is so heavily binged on the housing market. Woo! Well, what's happening now? Well, a lot of people took up. What happened was, okay, let's go back to the late 80s, early 90s. Back in the early mid 80s, you don't need student loans back in the early and late 80s because you just work a summer job because there would be lots of them available. And you'd get your job, you'd work the whole summer, you'd make enough money to buy yourself a little car, even get yourself tuition, books, and university paid, and even pay for an apartment if you were living alone or you had to go abroad to study. Yes, it was like that. That's all you had to do. After student loans became deregulated, what happened? Well, lots happened, and I can tell you, once the government got its fingers in the pot, deregulated student loans, and student loans went from $1,700 a year or semester, like really cheap, to $17,000, $20,000, and education ain't cheap. And they kept shoving the you need education narrative down people's throat. Luckily, I'm a Portuguese. I could barely read, and I have no education. And you know what? I'm very proud to say that I've made it very well. I'm at 42 years old, and I've done well in my life. But now what's happening? A lot of people wanted to become entrepreneurs. And what happened? Well, they wanted to buy properties and just rent them out to students. They're easy. The easiest people to rent out are students, and they're there temporary. They're not there long term. And you got to throw a coat of paint on when they're gone and get the next semester in and get more students in. But they've been binging on foreign students, absence of students. So it's like the Australian housing market. There was this big article that was out that I read on trends in the housing market. Oh, Australian housing market's going to go down for the next couple of years because the lack of foreign investing. It's like, what are you talking? You're telling me people in Australia don't live in that country? They just buy homes and leave them empty and leave the country? Well, there's no Australian proper to buy those properties? They're bought out. Now they're looking for students abroad to come in because they ain't bought out yet. But the local kids are bought out, so they can't even go into university and local and have to rent a place because after the student loans became deregulated, it became federalized. Woo! People are getting burned. So thank God I never bought into that student loan scam. Comment below if you didn't buy into the student loan scam. I want to read that. Rental properties vacated by students who have returned to their hometown or native country. Property owners who faced with a shortage with international tourists this summer put short-term vacation rental suites on long-term market. These are some of the factors that housing advocates and real estate watchers say could reduce real prices in rental prices in Greater Victoria. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a slew, and retail too. Retail prices too. Why? There's going to be all these empty places now. All these taxes are going to be going up. It's going to be tough for anybody, retail and rental, basic rental home. Now, what's going to happen now with the rentals? Let me tell you what's going to happen with the rentals, okay? All right. So what's going to happen with the rentals? They're going to throw a ton of rentals on the market, and that's going to start bringing down the price of rent, right? Here in this town, realistically, in 2020, you should be able to get a one-bedroom for $750, maybe $700. But because we're so binged on foreign money to drop in and take care of all our woes, let's find out what the price was. And it's not just this town of Victoria that's doing it. You also have Dublin, Ireland, and Sydney, Australia, and parts of Vancouver that have severely dedicated to students only. They will not open things up and put them on the market for long-term renters, right? And you can't have these people later complaining, oh, no one's renting my place. I'm going to have to default on it in 6 months. Nobody's renting it. What's with these people? Well, what's with these people? It's either they left your damn city because it's too goddamn expensive, or two, they're not going to pay those rents that you think you're going to get like people got last year. So it's over. Woo! All right, let's keep going here. Monthly rent for a two-bedroom unit in Victoria dropped to $1,800 in April, down 10%. A two-bedroom should be like $950, $1,000 max. Compared with March, according to a report by national rental listing websites rentals.ca, one-bedroom apartment, which rents for an average $1,500 a month, just saw a 3% drop in April over March. Prices dropped more in Vancouver, according to the report, with a 15% drop for a two-bedroom unit. Douglas, executive director, Victoria-based tenant advocacy group Together Against Poverty and Society. Okay, well, I could say his full name. His name is Douglas King. Usually if it's a real estate agent who wants to come and sue me for getting caught. Against Poverty Science said an ease in rental prices will come as a huge relief to many tenants, many of them struggling with job losses due to COVID. No, many of them struggling with $200 away from going insolvent. I think it confirms what we are hoping to see, which is that the lack of competition from some areas. Yeah, China. Some markets have led to price decreases in the rental market, both in Victoria and Vancouver, King said. It's pretty badly needed for the local population. However, he said rents are so high, even at 10% or 15% dip feels like a drop in the bucket. Yeah, like I said, they need to go down to back to tie to local wages. You can't tie rentals to foreign students. It doesn't make any sense. CEO and landlord of BC, which represents 3,300 residential landlords with about 125,000 units in BC, said vacancies are slightly higher than usual, partially because of the post-secondary students ended their tenancies in April after classes went online. We saw some turnover from student population, and because of the inability to show units and all necessary safety precautions, there's been a bit of a lag in being able to fill these units. However, Buddy has not seen much evidence that rents are dropping substantially. Buddy said that COVID has had an impact on landlords in terms of unpaid rent. The problem is not as widespread as some expected. Property owners fear more people will have trouble paying rent once emergency government assistance programs end, with the province facing an 11.5% unemployment rate. That's the problem right there. The BC government is providing rent subsidy of $300 to $500 for 3 months to low to middle income earners who lost their income due to COVID, and is imposed to a moratorium on evictions during the provincial state of emergency. King remains concerned about people who might be behind on their rent and are fearing eviction once the moratorium is lifted. How are things going to manage people who are behind on their rent because they lost their income? We're worried. We're going to see lots of evictions. You see, back in the day, a lot of people won't believe me when I say this, but you see, back in the day, people would have something called a rainy day fund. A lot of people would. Some people would gather $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. You know, but if you go back to 1986, the average person making $1.75 would have $3,000 to $5,000 in savings in their bank account. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. And now with people, average earners making $40,000 to $60,000, average earners making $40,000 to $60,000 a year, can't scrape together $200. So again, we are no longer a society or a nation of wealth building. We are a society and nation of debt building. And he says here, property owners struggles to cover mortgage without tourist dollars are more likely to put up a unit for sale, he said. So you're going to start to see an oversupply in a lot of places in the markets because of the lack of foreign investing and the lack of foreign students. But it's not just Canada. A lot of countries in the Commonwealth have heavily binged and depended on people that are not from Canada to come and rent their place so they could get bang for their buck. And now it's coming back to nib them in the butt. So Sydney had limited vacation rentals. This is Sydney, not Australia, but this is in Victoria. Vacation rentals by requiring property owners to occupy their home while renting out rooms. A motion passed anonymously on May 11 directs staff to draft a bylaw. Ooh, they're doing bylaws on short-time rentals. Oh man, if the governments just did not went ahead and deregulated and took over things, like if the governments could have stayed out of the banking systems and stopped bailing them out and letting banks fend for themselves, if the governments didn't get into the whole student loan fiasco, we wouldn't be in this problem. If the governments didn't get into our car insurance, because now where I live, there's only one car insurance and it's government, state-run owned. And if they didn't get into that, we wouldn't have all the problems we have today. Imagine a government, state-owned insurance like we have around the world. Both people that go to court are from the same party or the same faction. How are they going to sue? How is one insurance going to sue the other insurance for a proper payout? So I've heard of people that have been crippled by car accidents. They're walking the street, walking a crosswalk, and they get crippled by a blind driver. There's lots of blind drivers in Vancouver. And they get hit by a blind driver. And they got a payout of $12,000 or $16,000. How does that work? I don't understand how these things work. And then the person's crippled for life and pretty much, and then if it was somewhere in the States, he'd get a lawsuit or a settlement of 2.3, maybe $5 million. But in Canada, they're taking it to the streets. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to get into Mike in the Night and Trends in the Housing Market. We had over 230 people watching Trends in the Housing Market last night. And Mike in the Night last night. And man, it was great. There was a lot of fighting in the comments. It happens. You know, you get into scraps. You get scraps. So there it is, guys. Set your reminders. Join the channel if you like. Why not? And be part of the party. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Residential rentals facing pandemic pressure amid absence of tourists and students. Whose fault? Who do you blame? Do you blame our local governments for opening up the borders and selling off everything we have to foreign money and allowing laundering to go on and basically impoverish the local population? Or B, do you blame who'd you blame? Do you blame the greedy entrepreneurs for buying these properties and putting all their eggs in one basket and depending on foreign money? Or C, do you blame the real estate agents by misinforming people or telling people that if you don't buy now, you'll never own anything? Thanks for watching, guys. Comment below.